look at it in a different way once you've been eliminated from the competition. For example, Alilito tweeted out saying, okay, I got top 8, I'm pretty happy with it because I guarantee my spot at the E-World Cup with the amount of Global Series ranking points I've got. For Uma, he got just the same amount of points as Alilito as well. Even though he lost that tournament in the final, he still got 2,000 Global Series ranking points, which is still more than enough, in my opinion, to get yourself to the E-World Cup. So at this point, you're playing for money, you're playing for trophies, you're playing for pride, and he's playing for a spot at FUT Champions Cup number 5. And he has a pretty good record coming into this. He went 3-2 in his Swiss phase, and then he beat #JRA in the round of 16. And we know how well JRA Lion had been playing in the tournament so far. So I really think that Uma would be my favorite out of these two, personally. But you never know what might happen.
So here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. Another quarter-final to bring you, this time on the PlayStation 4. The opportunity to go up against Lucas, who we just saw in the previous quarter-final. And early on, a little mistake actually coming in. And it's going to be Uma who wins the ball almost immediately from Principe.
Yeah, we will be hoping for a couple more goals. Any goals, really, in comparison.
Let's start
game.
a couple more shots.
Yeah, shots. Just shots. We'll take those. Both of these players have scored. Well, Principe has scored 15 goals so far this tournament. Uma has scored 14. So they have been finding goals in their games. No 0-0 draws for them. There was a 5-3 victory in the Swiss stage for Umut, so he definitely has the potential to back them.
We saw how Umut plays back in Atlanta as well. He is one of those players who likes to sit deep and likes to take his chance when it comes. For Principe, I think the advantage he has coming into this tournament is the fact that Umut isn't the surprise package anymore. I think everyone would have been aware of what he did in Atlanta, the PS4 champion, like you said, and would have watched those games back and had the opportunity to see how to break him down. And it's going to be a chance here for Principe early on. He gets very, very lucky with the ball falling back to Eusebio. But for Principe, I think the first thing would have been, you need to score first against Uma, and with a bit of fortune, a big bit of fortune, an enormous piece of fortune, he does just that.
Yeah, player switching seemed to lock Uma onto Van Dijk instead of Vieira. If he had locked onto Vieira, he might have been able to drag that centre-back across to stop the potential shot from Eusebio. Alas, did not happen. While the only good thing of a little bit of fortune means we have an early goal, and an early goal is always a sign of having an open game where two players are usually attacking each other more.
That's a great point you make there. Early goals always give us the potential to have a little bit more entertainment as one player has to push forward, but we do have to remind ourselves and kind of bring ourselves back down to earth a little bit in the fact that it is 2 legs, of course, here in competitive FIFA. So with 13 minutes on the clock, there's still a whole host of time ahead of us to see Umut score an equaliser and bring this game back onto level terms. But the perfect start here for Principe. The Italian representing makers could not have asked for any more.
And from what we saw in Atlanta, I think going a goal up is exactly what you have to do against Umut, because if you go a goal down, it's a high probability that you're going to lose the game because of how well he was dominating possession and how well he was controlling and dictating the pace. So now he's got a goal lead here, Principe. He must be feeling fairly confident. Just needs to try and extend this lead, I feel. If he can get a second, then suddenly Umut really will have to come out of the show. You can still see 11 men behind the ball for Umut because he doesn't have to change things up too quickly, as we are in still fairly early stages.
Well, here's Kante, and here's the goal scorer, Eusebio onto the left foot, and he went for the finesse shot there at the near post. Alisson equal to it to turn it behind for a corner. But I thought he was just going to put his laces through it there with Eusebio. Smash it in at that near post. You've seen how deadly it can be. But still, on the attack here, just momentarily was Principe, but finally Umut. It's a little bit of respite here.
But already we're seeing Principe shooting from certain places where we've seen players in the tournament already not shooting from, going for that extra pass, that extra touch to try and increase those percentages. Whereas what we've alluded to in a few games, sometimes now with the meta in the way it is and how defensive, how overpowered defending is, sometimes you have to just take a risk and hit it from maybe areas where you wouldn't be used to. Even crossing it in might be one of the ways to try and grab a goal or open up a defense, especially with the utility that Cristiano Ronaldo offers with his heading statistics.
So that early goal really has set things up to be very interesting. Here's PS4 quarter-final, of course, a master spot on the line, like we mentioned, qualification automatically to the next tournament. If you manage to go through this stage towards that semi-final and lock down that top 4 space.
$7,500 as well.
And an opportunity on goal here for Kylian Mbappe as well. Goes for the fake shot inside. Vieira deals with it.
And the 800 Global Series ranking points, far more important for Principe, who bags a goal with Cristiano Ronaldo, makes it 2. Take a risk, get it in the mixer, utilise Cristiano Ronaldo, bish, bash, bosh.
Sometimes it is as simple as that. Good delivery, contact from the header, Cristiano Ronaldo rising highest. And we are starting to see those headed opportunities. It's actually going to be an own goal given to Trent Alexander-Arnold there. Not sure about that one.
Was he the one on the line? It might have
got a touch on it, but that looked like still looked like it was on target for me from Ronaldo. But I'll tell you one man who's not going to be too bothered, and that's Principe, doubling the lead here against the PS4 champion from Atlanta.
And Umut really now is going to have to show what he's got offensively. If a lot of his strategy was built off kind of getting a goal lead and then holding on to that, playing the possession game, waiting for his opponent to make mistakes, he needs to try and force those mistakes now. Press up a little bit. Maybe even change the formation, change those settings in the tactics screen.
Yeah, tackle's a little bit too telegraphed there as well. Just went for the most obvious ball into the striker, just allowed Kante to move across and pick it up. And now look at Ronaldo on this right-hand side, and all of a sudden, Principe really has grabbed this game by the scruff of the neck. Fortune, yes, of course, in that first goal. We have to highlight that. However, the second, just a simple corner, a header from Ronaldo. And now he has complete and utter control of this first leg.
And some people will say fortunate for that as well, but how many times this tournament have we seen people just playing it short and then playing it to the edge of the box and it going nowhere? He's opted to take that risk, that it could be headed away, could be headed to then his opponent who can break away and get a counter-attack. And he has found a second by doing so. It's not pretty, and it's not the FIFA that necessarily everyone wants to see, but when you've got your back against the wall, playing against someone who is so defensive, who does have 11 men behind the ball, you have to resort to something else.
Great ball down the line here from Umut, though. It is Cristiano Ronaldo, stops up and follows it up with a cricketa. Unfortunately, though, couldn't create space with that skill move to get the cut back, and has to be very alert there on the far side to keep that ball in play. But there is space here for Mbappe to stretch those legs. Unfortunately, one Frenchman met with another as Kante came across just to fill that space in, but Mbappe fights again to get the ball back.
Yeah, that's what Kante does so well, though. He just can contest these pacey wingers when he tracks back from the central defensive midfielder role. I could just say CDM to make it far easier for my lips. One last attack. It's going to be cut out, and that's going to be 2-0 at the half. I'm very impressed with how Principe has approached this game, and he's looked very good on the ball as well. No shots as of yet for Umut, but Principe really just taking control of the game.
So we are watching the point of view of Umut here as well, and one thing that I'm just already noticing, Dan, is Kante has been removed from the game, and it's going to be Zinedine Zidane. He's going to be joining in the midfield here, so much more attacking option. Obviously, that high medium work rate on both of those central midfielders now, meaning they're going to be getting forward and joining the attack. Obviously, have some decent defensive stats to go alongside that. Maybe not quite as heavily weighted in the defensive stats as someone like N'Golo Kante, but I think he'll be able to do a job in that.
It'll be interesting to see what particular defensive style he switches to here after making those edits, because in his attacking one, he did change, or he did still have his CAMs on comeback on defense. And I feel like if you're trying to get back into the game, you kind of want them to stay forward, really.
Principe almost had an opportunity for the restart here, and Principe striding forward, and I tell you what, if you would have connected with that pass, there was an opportunity just to feed it back into the runner Johan Cruyff there, and we know how deadly the Dutchman is in front of goal. An opportunity, unfortunately, for Principe and all the Italians fans who are watching at home. You might manage to get across and just deny that space.
Yeah, it may not have been the tournament to remember for Principe in Milan, in the home country of Italy at the E-Club World Cup, but he's on course here for potentially a master's spot if he can carry on holding this lead.
Well, here is the new central midfield partnership, linking up Zidane and Gullit. They will find those little pockets of space in the attacking areas. Their attacking positioning so good for central midfield. foot item. Zidane now steps forward into some of that space. You can see just twisting and turning, but just dallying on the ball a little bit too long. And Principe puts the pressure on, wins the ball back, and will the linesman's flag go up? Yes, it will.
Yep, they'll be pulled back for a free kick as well, so Principe will get to continue to hold this possession. You saw in that defence as well, Principe had plenty of men back and he was just constantly jockeying with Kante, making it very difficult to Umut to make any sort of pass through the middle. But rather than maybe going out wide, Umut just tried to force it through and it didn't really work out.
And Principe again on the attack here. Now you're going to see the exchange of passes from Kante and Hullet instead of Zidane. And Hullet at the other end, and Eusebio steps in and just bundles over Hullet. However, there's one thing to bundle him over, is another to get the ball off him as the Dutchman just lays in front of the ball. And finally, Umut managed to get possession. Now Ronaldo direct on this left-hand side, but can't get past a combination of prime icon moments, Rio Ferdinand and Team of the Year, Andy Robertson. Ooh.
Carlos Alberto will just put this one out of play, and that's a shame for Principe. He wants to try and
as a player, that
minimalise these mistakes as much as possible, but he has been able to win the ball back, and Ronaldo can burst his way down the wing, but again, just runs it out of play. And why I think it's important for him to minimalise these mistakes, he doesn't want to allow Umut to get back into the game. You've got to remember, Umut hasn't had a shot on goal yet. He'll be low on confidence, and when he does get that chance, he's probably going to be thinking, well, where am I going to put this? And his mind's going to be thinking, well, I need to get this goal, and all that pressure suddenly is going to be on his shoulders.
So inside the last half hour here, and it's Alexander-Arnold striding forward, but again, just a little bit obvious from Umut. Not the first time we've seen him go down that wide area of the pitch and look to either stop up or use that fake shot. Imagine Van Dijk could get across and helps out defensively there as Mbappe was looking to get aggressive down that left-hand side.
Yeah, I'm not going to quite give you a Richard Buckley analogy of something like an ice cream or an ice pop, but a bit of a broken record is Umut at the moment. Really lacking any sort of creativity in the final third, and Principe has his number every single time.
Shout out to Richard Buckley, by the way. Hands like croissants is one of my favourite things I've ever heard on a broadcast.
It's up there with a knife through hot butter was one of my favourite Buckley analogies.
At least that one, well, I mean, they both make sense, don't they? That's the thing.
Well, a knife through hot butter doesn't
brilliant.
make
It's
sense.
genius.
It doesn't make sense.
It does.
It's a hot knife through butter.
Yeah, but a knife would still go through hot butter.
Hot butter would be melted. It'd be like stirring it at that point.
That's a good point. Anyway, Buckleyisms aside, there's an opportunity here for Umut as he stops up. Cricketta to follow again, and that's something that Principe is going to have to be aware of. Combine those two skill moves a couple of times here. Beautiful touch from Eusebio. First shot, first goal. And Umut manages to just close that gap here. It's now 2-1 to Principe.
And he patches up that record and gets it playing again. So much better from Umut. Knew exactly what he wanted to do. Saw the space open up. Saw the possibility of getting it to Eusebio. And then once you've made the turn and have a potential chance like that, Eusebio should be finishing it every day of the week. But as a reward, Eusebio then gets taken off the pitch. And Sadio Mane will be joining the field.
And that's just another example of the almost vital importance of having that 5-star weak foot on your cam and your centre forward. You know, if that ball comes into someone with a 4-star weak foot, you're going to presume, for example, they're going to go for that stronger foot. But allowing yourself to have that touch, go either way. You have to gamble as a centre-back in that position, that 1v1. You have to go left, you have to go right to try and make a standing tackle. Much more easier to predict if you're against a player with a 4-star weak foot, but the 5-star just makes it a little roll of the dice.
And even though Van Dijk is the best centre-back in the game, there are times in those situations where he doesn't turn quite quick enough comparatively to these new prime icon moments. He is a little bit clunky in comparison to the speedy dribbling we have available now from some of the best attackers in the game.
Well, here
That's how it
comes
should be,
Principe.
really.
Trying to restore that 2-goal advantage that he worked so hard to carve out. But Umut has looked a little bit different in this second half. You have to say he's pressed a little bit better. He's used those wide areas a little bit more effectively. And you just wonder, has he got enough offensively in the locker to tie this game up and put the pressure back onto the Italian?
So he's looked better, now he's changed his tactics to be a bit more forward, and he's up the depth and he's playing attacking football. Like, surely there's something to learn here. And maybe we should start to see more players starting the game with a more attacking formation, wanting to win the game.
The only problem with that is you leave space in behind, and if Principe can play this one well, surely there has to be a goal, but no. Again at that near post, Alisson denies R9. Corner here for Principe. Scooped up towards the back post. What year is this?
Unfortunately, not Cristiano Ronaldo there, though. And we say what year is it because it does remind us so deeply of FIFA 19 and the amount of back post headers that were there. How many times Cristiano Ronaldo would rise above a bunch to put it away. But with overload ball side, with low depth, with how strong defending is right now, you have to resort to these different styles of trying to score. And as I mentioned earlier, maybe it's not the way they want to play, but sometimes your hand is forced.
Again, it's a little bit of a mismatch in height in that fullback position as Carlos Alberto just shrugs off the attentions of that player. Ronaldo will be going up against Robertson, so again, an opportunity there. We've already seen it earlier for Ronaldo to win a header at that back post, so not the craziest idea in the world. Unfortunately, as you say, it wasn't Ronaldo that particular time, but at the half-time interval between the two legs after 90 minutes, it is 2-1 to Principe.
And maybe it is going to see a development of players being changed and the meta of the selection of players at these tournaments slightly changing, because for a long time we were saying, well, the height of the fullbacks doesn't really matter because headers were non-existent at the start of FIFA 20. There was a slight improvement after a couple of patches, and even we were saying, well, Messi is better than Ronaldo this year now because height again isn't really playing a part. But the further we're developing into this current meta, the more we're seeing how important Cristiano Ronaldo is, and maybe we're starting to see the need for some taller fullbacks.
And maybe we're starting to see players just experimenting with different ways to find a way towards goal. And the exciting thing about that is if you constantly evolving metas is if we see that start to work, then overload ball side maybe becomes a little bit less prevalent. I mean, maybe I'm just hoping here. Maybe I'm,
It's okay to
maybe
hope.
I'm starting a wish list.
We are all
like
clinging on to that. Clinging on to that hope. But again, I can put it down to what I was saying. Like, you can see how much better Uma's been playing since he's been playing attacking football. Every player at this tournament, they are incredible FIFA players and have the ability to play it at the top level. Yes, I know there'll be discussions amongst the pros who will say some players may not have been here if it wasn't for overload ball side, if it wasn't for how defending is at the moment. But past that, they're still all phenomenal players and can play FIFA how I personally feel it should be played. And if you start how you mean to go on and you start with an attacking formation, okay, you might be vulnerable at times, but also you might create a few more chances that you would if you were playing defensive.
Yeah, it's easy for us to say sat here.
Of course.
Without the money on the line, without the points on the line, without a career on the line. We love to be entertained, and I'm sure if the opportunity was there for the pros to have success while entertaining, they would all rather do that as well. But here we go, second leg underway then. Say a master spot still available, 2-1 after the first leg. You can see that in the bracket to the top left-hand side of your screen, and almost immediately here, you saw Principe being able to get back in behind, but I thought Cruyff had the run on Van Dijk there, but again, that 6'4" frame of Virgil van Dijk just sticks out a leg and deals with the danger.
Very rarely beaten in those kind of areas is Van Dijk. But I like the approach. I like the option that Principe is offering going forward. And I think he's going to be a little bit nervous going into this second leg with just the goal advantage. 2-0, I think he'd be fairly confident. But knowing now it's just one mistake and suddenly it's all even, you might have to be careful.
So Umut strides forward then. Alexander-Arnold into Kante. You can see Principe deep with his midfield line as well. Eusebio into Mbappe. The Elastico doesn't work the first time, but the attempt at the back heel almost came off the second time. Good concentration there from Umut to try and make what he could of that second opportunity, but Principe holds strong.
Really, really close to tying it up, and Kante somehow holds onto the ball. Decent pressure from Umut now. Looking a lot more positive going into this second leg because he is behind. He knows what job he needs to do here.
But Principe notably just slowing the pace of his attacks down a little bit as well, just working it through midfield before finding those feet of those attacking players up top. Cruyff and Eusebio, both of choice up there for him, both that 5-star weak foot we talk so much about. Eusebio now just walks towards goal. Gullit into Cruyff. Oh! And you almost expected the net to be rippling there, but Johan Cruyff wastes such a huge opportunity.
And because chances are so far and in between and we have so little of them in games, when they do come along, we kind of expect those goals to go in. Cruyff, you'd think, is good enough to be able to put it away.
And now straight up the other end, Rio Ferdinand has to do defensive work, and I just expected that to go in. Just saying, a little bit flabbergasted, it didn't.
And you think how you might feel right now. Think if you're the player, you've managed to get into that position, you've created that opportunity. Opportunities are difficult to come by, and then when you ask of one of the best players in the game, prime icon moments, Cruyff, doesn't deliver.
So Principe needs to get that out of his mind and walk towards Cole again with Ruud Gullit. There's a real intent about him going forward at the moment. This time decides to recycle instead. But Uma has to be very, very careful here. 25 minutes into this second leg and hasn't had too much to write home about as Kante now strides forward and twists and turns and finds Gullit. One of those players you'd rather not have on the end of a move, N'Golo Kante. However, the ability and the high agility on that foot iron means that you can turn and create the space for those passes.
No Eusebio, no Cruyff on offer on the edge of the box. And that is what Principe is struggling with at the moment. I'm not even sure he's got R9 on the pitch right now. Instead, he's opted to go for players maybe with a bit better stamina. I'm sure we'll see R9 introduced a little bit later. Maybe it's tactical. R9 to come on when some of those defenders are a little bit more blown out.
Well, here's Eusebio, and he's just going in a straight line towards goal here. A couple of ball rolls, shields it well. Cruyff had the opportunity a few moments ago, maybe. Could have had the opportunity to make amends there, but Uma at the moment, you have to say that he's holding on against Principe.
He is, and you can see Principe wants to go forward and he wants to be scoring this third goal, but you can almost see the inner dialogue he has every time he goes forward as well.
Well, that's a great ball down the line here to Mbappe, but Carlos Alberto kind of said, I dare you to take that space, and Mbappe unfortunately accepted the invitation and was bullied off the ball.
And the inner dialogue I'm talking about is what I think every attacking player faces, even in Weekend League. Do I go forward or do I hold on to the ball here? I do have the lead, and with how good defending is right now and with how my opponent's been playing, maybe I should play the same way. Maybe I should play this defensive style of just keeping them away from the ball.
Well, Umit then, for all the pressure that he's come under, has managed to survive the wave of pressure from Principe up until this point. But again, the Italian now wins the ball back, and there's a huge opportunity to just slide the ball down the line here to Robertson. Incredibly well-worked opportunity. Cruyff across here, surely it's Eusebio. I do not believe what I am seeing on my screen in front of me. How has he missed that?
It's bloody prime icon moments, Eusebio, for goodness sake. How has that not gone in? That is a guaranteed goal. It's so well worked. To pull it back with Robertson and to play that ball through. So much space with Cruyff as well. And he's waited for the perfect time.
And for Principe, he has to hold his composure a little bit better than we have. Because that chance. Well, it's been and gone now. Stoppage time at the end of the first half here. Uma has rode his luck in this first half, now comes forward. And this really would be the killer blow if he finds an equaliser here, but Principe holds on to the lead. 2-1 here. Still on aggregate, 0-0 in this particular game, but you have to say, surely it should have been 3.
Could have been 4 with Cruyff earlier as well. It's hard to watch for some of the players because all it takes now is one chance for Uma, who hasn't had any shots this game. It was just a 1, maybe 2 at a stretch last game as well. It's just that one opportunity he needs to get back into the game when you feel like he doesn't deserve it. It sounds crazy, but it really has been all Principe going forward. Principe has been the one with attacking intent, has looked the far better player. Deserves to be leading by more than one. But the good sign is he still has the lead, and that is the one thing he has to hold on to here.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is it is still a goal lead here for Principe. And he's got to focus. We talk about how you could be challenged mentally as a player here in FIFA Esports, and a prime example of it here for the Makers man.
If he's losing, then I think he's going to be losing his head at this point after those two chances, but because he's still ahead, he will keep his head, and therefore can still play on and play his best FIFA. And if he can carry on creating chances like that, then eventually, surely, he's going to be rewarded for it.
And for Uma, he's got to say thank you to the game at this point. It really has kept him in it. And he's still just one goal away from elongating this quarter-final tie. Still putting himself in with a chance of finding a master's spot. Little ball inside here, Eusebio, R9, Ferdinand just reaches in with a toe and makes the tackle for Principe.
A switch of the plate from Principe, and I'm sure every single time now Uma goes forward, all he's going to be thinking about is the chances that he's had and the possibility he could have a lead here. But he still looks very commanding going forward.
Here's Johan Cruyff, lays it across here, but the pass not good enough to find Ruud Gullit. Ronaldo comes away and instead runs the ball out of play.
Still plenty of time left in this game, and I feel like the longer it goes on, the more Principe is going to get nervous with this goal lead. Currently resides in 47th in the Global Series rankings. The 800 points he would get from winning this game would be massive for his E-World Cup chances. And it should be enough to get him at playoffs.
Uma's chasing this one down the line, and he gets the better of Andy Robertson here. Alexander-Arnold fighting for Uma. Inside to Zidane again. Gullit tries to turn back. Big tackle this time from Principe. And look at the space here on the far side for Johan Cruyff. 2v2 situation. Cruyff versus Van Dijk. Somehow Van Dijk from that position makes the tackle, but Eusebio's won it back. But Van Dijk, I think he's got a cape on here for Uma.
Well, I learned capes are dangerous.
What?
You don't want to go near aeroplanes with them. Very famous film taught me that.
Well, here's Gullit. I have no frame of reference whatsoever for what you're talking about.
The Incredibles.
And Gullit comes away here for Principe, and this time it's Vieira who comes across to deal with Johan Cruyff, but Cruyff battling again and keeps possession here and almost forces his way through towards goal. Van Dijk this time, a superhero at one end, tries to do great work at the other as well, and it's a stretch game now. You can see Uma's being forced to make 1v1 tackles in dangerous positions. If he gets one of these wrong, he really will be in trouble.
For Uma then, changes. Mane will come on as well as Messi, and he just needs to find at least a shot on goal at this point. Has really struggled to do so in both legs. We can put that down to how well Principe has been playing. I mean, yes, okay, Uma was playing defensive to start with, but also Principe has done very well at reducing the amount of chances for Umut. But as long as Principe hasn't allowed any of his missed chances to get to his head and can continue to play that way, can continue to restrict the chances, he will walk away with a victory. He will be at FUT Champions Cup Stage 5.
But just one goal still between these two players. There's always a chance in FIFA. Uma comes forward. Kante clears, but hastily so as Alisson comes out and does a bit of footwork himself. Ronaldo in behind Robertson for just a second here for Uma. Back inside to Zidane. Gullit's free in the middle as well. Goes outside here to Mane. Body's in the way. Can he find a way through? Zidane. Hullet once more. Mane. Kante steps in.
Yeah, nothing available for him there, but on the counter-attack, so many shirts streaming forward for Principe.
And one of those is Cristiano Ronaldo, who just stops up and just uses a few seconds up Eusebio. All the way across here to R9. Finds Pele! But it won't count.
It is offside. Principe so close to just wrapping this game up, and maybe this is it.
Surely Eusebio, surely R9 at this point has to put the game to bed.
And it's offside again.
What is happening?
That one must have been inches.
I'm saying it right now. Umat's going to equalise. Umat has to equalise. The amount of chances, the amount of things that have gone against Principe, if anything that I've learned from FIFA is if you don't take those chances, your opponent will score and make you pay.
And at this point, I really hope not. I'm very much in Principe's camp right now because he has outplayed Umat in every area of this game.
He has possession here, Principe. He needs to keep his cool, needs to keep his calm, and I have to say, huge props to him as well. You have to put it on him massively for that last one. Didn't make the most of the opportunity, couldn't hold the offside. Keep the player just onside long enough to finish that chance off, and it's going to be a corner here for him, and you can see just taking it to the corner here, Principe trying to see the game out. Kante. Manages to hold possession here. And I wouldn't call this sportsmanlike, however, I haven't seen what we've seen in this game. Can't blame him.
At this point, he probably just feels like, well, what else can I do? Will hold on to the ball. It's definitely going to be frustrating Umat.
Surely now, no, but Umat wins the ball back. And R9 steps away, 89 minutes on the clock. We're about to head into stoppage time. One goal the difference between these two players. In our PlayStation 4 quarter-final, surely there isn't another twist in this tale. Zidane, over to Ronaldo, and Principe holds on here. Stoppage time is up, and the final whistle goes. And there is that release of emotion from Principe. A well-deserved win here, 2-1 on aggregate over Umat. And he will be one of the masters we'll be seeing back at our next event.
Umat was unable to have a shot in that second leg. So you can understand why Principe had that outburst of emotion with the victory. Could have been 3, could have been 4, potentially even 5. But alas, it was only 2. Umat will not get a Masters spot. Despite being the PlayStation champion from Atlanta, he is out of the tournament, and he'll have to go through the qualification for a spot in Bucharest for FUT Champions Cup Stage 5.
Yeah, you can see the disappointment on Umat's face. Again, a very solid performance from him across the tournament. You know, reaching another quarterfinal, you've got to be pretty happy with that. A top 8 placement, I should say, just unfortunately not quite being able to secure one of those master spots. I think that's what hurts for most of these players at the moment, is when you get so close to having to avoid that qualification process, which we know is incredibly, incredibly brutal for them to go through. That's what hurts the most, to be honest with you. But again, Umat showing that he is a player certainly to watch as this season continues to progress. But Principe, I mean, as you say, it could have been more. It probably should have been more. Well, it definitely should have been more. I'm going to say it. You know, Eusebio should be putting that one away 100% of the time. But, you know, he was very, very impressive in that game. The way that he went about it, the way he was creating chances, and the way that he dealt with the pressure from Umat towards the end of the game, I think you've got to give him credit. You know, Principe's certainly looking like the real deal here.
Yeah, he is looking like the real deal, and he guarantees himself 800 Global Series ranking points. He gets himself $7,500 as well, and of course he can continue playing for more, being in that semi-final. And when you speak of the qualification process, and what we mean when we say it's brutal is a lot of these players are still playing 30 to 60 weekend league games, as well as then trying to qualify and play through those qualifiers. It's just a lot of FIFA to be playing, so they would rather guarantee that qualification just through these tournaments.
And one player that isn't going to have to do that, of course, is Principe. We are ready for an interview now with that man. He's down on the floor.
Principe, you had so many chances in that, but you were able to keep your cool. How did you do it? Beh, conosco bene il gioco, quindi so che bisogna rimanere sempre concentrati in ogni occasione, quindi si va sempre avanti.
And now his coach and translator.
I know really well the game, so I know it's a game which need big focus, and I just focus, and that's all.
Next up is Lucas. What do you know about him?
Sì, lo conosco, oggi studierò in hotel, diciamo, tutto quello che fa e domani cercherò di fare il mio meglio.
I know him a little bit, but tonight I will study everything about him, and I hope tomorrow to give my best.
Thank you both. All right, more to come here from Paris in just a moment.